Welcome to Evolve, Reinventing Leadership, Building Freedom Cultures, with thought leader and award-winning author Yvette Bethel. This podcast provides you with insights and ideas you can use to reinvent your culture through trust and the principles of interconnectivity, flow, and balance. At a time when the world is rewriting the rules of work, traditional leadership practices are not enough. It's time to perceive persistent challenges through a new lens. It's time to evolve.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. This is your host, Yvette Bethel, and the topic for this episode of Evolve is Unshakeable, a story of personal resilience and business growth. With creator of Synergy PT, a leading orthopedic practice in New York, Cynthia Gormezano. Did I say it properly?
Perfectly. Well done.
Okay. So Cynthia transformed Synergy from a small 150 square foot office into a 7-figure, now I understand 8-figure, going into 9 figures.
Well, figures, not yet. Not yet.
But 8 figures.
We have 7 locations, and
yes,
we do have plans for growth and scale in this year coming together.
Yes, you have 30 providers, 50 employees across New York.
Yes.
And your journey goes beyond business. You're a 3-time cancer survivor who challenged medical odds by expanding your company while receiving cancer treatments, which is phenomenal. You tied the knot and you had children, and which you told was likely not possible. So it's just, wow, amazing. Now, 2 years ago, you faced one more life-threatening challenge. The cancer treatments that were used to save your life actually compromised your lungs. And over time, you ended up with a severe breathing condition in both lungs, and you had to have them replaced. And despite all of that, you were able to become an endurance athlete. You finished 600-mile bike rides, 6 triathlons. Oh, it's just incredible.
Oh my gosh. When you put it all like that, it's like, okay, but you can't say it like that. It's just like everything happened step by step by step.
I know.
Day, and it was every day that presented, I faced choices and challenges, and I faced the day anew each day. I never thought about everything all at once. It was, you open your eyes, you say, hi, thank you for being here. What can I do today?
Yeah.
It's really, that hasn't changed. I'm 52 right now. I started my company at 29.
Mm-hmm.
When I started Synergy, it was on the heels of my father's sudden death. And it was a year after I finished treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma for the first time. The first time I was diagnosed, I was 27, and I was working as a physical therapist in acute care in a hospital on the west side of Manhattan. And every opportunity that arose, I weighed heavily, and I could never walk away from an opportunity. That's pretty much what happened. When a door opened, I never hesitated to jump right through. And that's basically the same through line that you mentioned in all those little stories. Some bigger, some less big, some more difficult, some easier. But the through line is when a door opens, I always walked through. I never weighed the risks. I only focused on how much fun it would be and how exciting it would be. And that's basically when you say it like that, looking back now, being 52, looking back on everything you just listed, there's one common thread. It is resilience, but it's also optimism and fun and joy.
Mm-hmm.
I was never one to stay home alone. I was never one to be secluded. That's why this is a great profession for me. We interact with humans all day. And it's a profession that, it's like, you did good. Thank you so much. I feel so much better. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling goodness to you. Maybe it's like a little ego stroke every day. They tell you, wow, my God, I feel so much better. But truly, that's the gift of our profession. It feels very, not to say godly, but almost inspiring, because we're making change each day. And my first boyfriend used to say, I want to do like big change in the world. And he's like, you want to do grassroots change, patient by patient. I want to make people's lives better by improving their lives. And as a PT, we're given that unique opportunity.
I'm wondering in listening to you, what sparked your idea for the business? And did it change as you went through your health challenges? Did anything change?
So when I was in college, I studied political science and I was going to go to law school. And when I sat for the LSAT my junior year of college, I had to walk out in the middle. I hated it. I couldn't focus on those long reading texts. I just found it so boring. And it was right before Thanksgiving, and I went, actually, it was my senior year. And I went home for Thanksgiving, and my father was like, well, what do you mean you're not going to go to law school? What are you going to do when you graduate? And I said, I don't know. He said to me, well, you better think of something, because the moment you graduate, I'm cutting you off. And I was like, you'll never cut me off. He's like, oh, yes, I will. And then he brought me over to the table and he showed me all the articles. And he said, you want a mobile profession? You want to be independent? You never want to be dependent on a man? Go to physical therapy. Do an allied profession, PT or OT. You'll never be dependent on a man. You'll create your own world. And he said that to me. And he's like, I'm not telling you what to do, but why don't you go volunteer at a hospital and see if you like it? Rarely does a 20-year-old listen to their father. I happened to at that moment, and I went back to school and I volunteered. I went to SUNY Albany, and I
Mhm.
went to Albany Medical Center, and I was in the rehab department, and I was swinging on parallel bars doing dips. And a woman rolled in a wheelchair, and she was post bilateral knee replacements. And I was like, oh, good morning. How are you? She's like, oh, honey, you're like a ray of sunshine in here. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get paid to talk to people. This is up my alley.
Mhm.
And I went back to my apartment in Albany, and I called the American Physical Therapy Association, and they sent me a packet. This is before the internet. They sent me a packet of every school in the United States. I looked at all the prerequisites, and I very much shifted my focus to filling out the requirements. And I had to go back to school in I had to go back to school for sciences, biochem, physics, calculus, but I did it all in 1 year. I was very highly focused. When I have a vision, I need to do it. I need to, close the deal. So that's what I did in a year, and I got into PT school. So I started my practice at 29, but I first worked in hospital, acute care, and I love the fast pace of every patient, every interaction. And you are making a change. I remember treating patients that were visiting New York and fell, and they had no family in New York, and you make an impact on their lives. And I really loved it. And there was a doctor on the floor who asked me to come work in his office and be a PT in his orthopedics department. And I thought he was like kidding. I was like, you crazy. I'm not leaving this social scene with the residents and hanging out and parties. But then my father had a stroke, and he was a patient in our hospital. He had surgery and then a stroke.
Mhm.
And I couldn't be on acute care anymore. So I went to work for him in orthopedics. And it was a good segue, because then my father died soon after that. And so that was
Sorry.
a very pivotal moment. I was 27 when he died, and I found that the earth beneath me shifted, and I had to make some changes because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't work with stroke patients. I couldn't work with patients that were very challenged. I can't explain it, but I was sort of lost, and I had no more security blanket. And so my drive turned up a little bit because I had no more security. My mom is still alive, thank God, but it's not the same. For me, my dad was my everything.
Mhm.
No more financial security, no more someone to lean on. It was different. When you lose a parent young, and I wasn't so young, but young enough that I wasn't fully professionally developed, um, it rocked my world. It made me choose things differently, for sure. Does that sort of answer the question?
Yeah, you did. And I'm wondering, is it, a lot of people listening, they may not have had the kind of medical conditions or challenges that you have, but they have other challenges. And I'm wondering, was there a moment, or were there moments that you considered walking away with it? And if so, what helped you to push through
Walking away with
everything?
what?
Walking away from the challenges of building a business and
Oh,
building your career, and
good
what
question.
helped you to push through it?
So first, I got sick the first time after my father died. I was still a full-time employee. Once I finished treatment, I wanted something more. I was ready for a real challenge. And an opportunity arose for me to rent space from a doctor and create my own business there. And so it felt I was provided a very easy segue. The only risk I had was myself. I was single. I was 29. I had low monthly overhead of the apartment I was living in. So I didn't really feel a heavy risk. But I knew I wanted joy. I wanted a challenge, and I wanted to feel good every day. And I knew I was a great PT. I didn't know if I was a businesswoman. I just knew I wanted to try. And my brother, who's 5 years younger than me, was also starting a business at the same time. And we spoke several times every day, and we became each other's support. And my friends are super supportive, and my mother believes in me. But I started my company. My mother lent me $3,000 for the first month's rent. I got an American Express card. I charged $10,000 of equipment.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I started. I taught myself how to do billing. And there was just like, again, when you lose a parent, there was no security blanket. So I was like all in. And I went to work every day at 6:30 in the morning. I saw patients all day long. When I wasn't seeing patients, I was going to visit doctors. I was building a business. And a year later, I was busy enough that I took my own space. And I was so blessed because I hired a receptionist. And 2 months later, I got diagnosed again with Hodgkin's, and I faced like another challenge, but here I am. Now I have another space that I'm responsible for. I have an employee. I have patients on my caseload. What was I going to do? There was a sense of like, I never ever give up, no matter how hard it is. I don't know. It seems harder to give up. It's much more fun to conquer a challenge and feel good about that challenge. It's not always easy. I'm not saying it's easy. There are some days where you just want to sleep. And I allowed myself to do that. But then I also got up, shook myself off, and just got down to it.
Mhm.
Like I would be sick at work. I would like have moments, but then I go back to patient care. And I just never give up. That's really the bottom line. I never, ever, ever give up.
I think entrepreneurship requires us to trust ourselves, but it also requires us to trust other people. But illness can make you more guarded or experience if, for those listening, you may not have an illness, but, a bad experience could cause you to be more guarded. How do you navigate that tension?
It's a really good question. It's so deep. I certainly have experienced those things, different levels, different times of my life. I think the core there is I'm blessed with a deeply optimistic character. I never focus on the bad, no matter how bad it is. You can hear, you got diagnosed with Hodgkin's again, or you relapsed. I hear that obviously, and my core is shaken, but then I hear this is the treatment, there's an option. So whenever there's a problem, I just right away go for the solution. I don't hover in the problem. I hover in the solution. I have anxiety about it and I stress about it, but I shift my focus to the solution. And I really, with all my medical things, I've been so blessed. I've been able to have treatment. Not everybody has that. And look at me now. I'm 2 years post a double lung transplant. Yes, my lungs got affected from the chemo, but there was a solution. And even though lungs were so hard to get in New York City 2 years ago, I was like, I'm not sitting with this hardness. I'm going somewhere else. And I traveled down to Duke. I left my two children with my mom and a friend. My husband and I moved down to North Carolina for 5 months. I had to get lungs. I needed a solution. I wasn't going to focus on why is Columbia taking forever? Why are there no lungs in New York? I just focused on the solution. I was like, there's an option over here. I'm going to do that. And similarly with work, when there's a problem, I've made many mistakes in my life. I've built partnerships that weren't properly structured and they failed. So I don't do that anymore. It didn't make me stop doing the partnerships. It made me structure them better going forward. I learn from every mistake, and there are plenty, but I never give up. That's the part. I start afresh each day. It's a new day each day, and I kind of try not to carry with me the baggage from the old. I don't let it scar me. It's kind of like that feeling of forgiving and forgetting. You move on. Just move on.
I'm
Don't let
lis
it build.
I'm listening to you, and some themes are coming out. Like one theme is this deep resourcefulness that you have,
Yes.
an unshakable kind of spirit that you have, and your whole optimistic perspective is about learning from mistakes, not being bogged down by them, and kind of getting into self-pity. Um,
Don't get me wrong. There are moments when I have self-pity, and thank God
uh,
for my crew of friends and family who lift
mm,
me up. They listen to my self-pity. You're allowed to have pity at times. It did suck going through everything. I mean, it did, but how lucky was I to be able to come out of it? And I live in New York City. I mean, I literally lived across the street from Cornell Hospital where I got my stem cell transplant for the third time of Hodgkin's, where when they told me I would never have kids, I was able to do IVF at the building next door to where I lived. Everything seemed so easy for me. Even getting pregnant, they told me I would never get pregnant, and I did. I just focus on the outcomes, not the struggle. You know, I try to
mm.
power through the struggle. It's
Say some more about that. I think that's a very powerful statement you just made because most people focus on the struggle.
the struggle is so depressing, like it's so I'm going to use the analogy of running or cycling up a hill because
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever run, but I
Mhm.
hate hills. Some people love
Yeah.
them, I hate them, but I love going down the hill. I love flying on my bike down the hill. And that's the part I focus on when I'm climbing. Oh, it's so hard. My lungs are burning, my thighs are burning. But you
Yes.
get to that top and you're like, woohoo, fly down. It's that
Yes.
same feeling of exhilaration when you finally succeed. When
Mhm.
I was never one to look at my bank account, but when I started my company, I just kept grinding. And a few months later, I was like, oh my God, look at me. I actually have some money. I'm
Mhm.
not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid of struggle, but I do get excited and exhilarated by the achievement. And
Mhm.
you can't put a price on that feeling. You can't buy it. No
Yeah.
matter how much money you have, you can't buy it. That's why I kind of feel bad for kids who have so much money. Your parents have money, you don't know that feeling of success, that feeling of I closed a big
Achievement.
deal. What
Yeah.
an achievement. And that's the same for overcoming all of these dramas that I had. Like I couldn't breathe. I was on 6 to 7 to 8 liters of oxygen. And then all of a sudden, I went through this 10-hour surgery, opened my eyes, and I was breathing without a machine. And those feelings, obviously, not everybody goes through that, and God help. No, I hope nobody does. But that feeling you cannot buy, that deep sense of gratitude, that deep sense of awareness. And so I don't know, maybe the result is not taking things for granted, though I never did, but even more so now, like when I take a deep breath in my lungs and I inhale and exhale, it's a good feeling. when I exercise and I lift or I squat, I'm like, look at me, like pretty good, not bad. Or if I can, running is really hard. I just walk fast now, but I still cycle. It's exciting. It's a very good feeling, that feeling of triumph. So even though exercise is physically hard and you hit 50, your body's so different, the achievement, that feeling of success is still that level of high. And I kind of think I might be chasing that high in all areas of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Even raising kids. It's
Mm-hmm.
obviously I have two teenagers. Those are its own challenges. But similarly, my team, they're like
Mm-hmm.
my children too, raising leaders, teaching them empathy, to be an empathetic leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of what makes me a better leader is the empathy I've learned through being a patient.
I think you had mentioned earlier that when you started out, you were working on your own, and then you hired a receptionist, and then now you went from 150 square foot office now into seven, now maybe eight figures.
Eight
What
locations. I
eight
don't know
lo
what
eight
seven.
locations,
I
right?
mean, yeah, we're definitely.
But the question is, what steps did you take to scale your business to in the way that you did?
I actually think having a team with you and having partners that invest in your company with you, you
Mhm.
give them that same opportunity to feel these feelings I just described, give them an opportunity to succeed and achieve, partnering with them, people that complemented my shortcomings. I tend to not be so analytical. I tend to be more impetuous. I tend to make decisions on instinct at times, but the partners I've surrounded myself with are very thoughtful. They're they're much deeper in analyzing when to do things how, and they create processes so they fill my shortcomings. I am a hard driving, optimistic, forward driving person, and being with a team that matches, we kind of create a whole picture. And I couldn't grow alone. I know my limitations, and I can't do everything at once. And plus, I've been through a lot of illnesses. And by the way, having two children, that takes you out of the game a little bit too. So having the team help create this extraordinary company. And I've allowed them, I think together when they have children, they take time off, they come back to work slowly. They don't have to work 5 days a week. And we're a partnership, creating the right partnerships.
Listening to you and the way that you work, it seems that you probably also have some kind of a succession or developmental path in place for members of your team. What are you doing there?
It's a great question, actually. This week is my first leadership training. Um, we've developed now. I've always been mindful of it, but now I'm putting in place a real process, tangible, with outcome measures, KPIs, to help them reach where they want to go. And recently, we have achieved the ability to negotiate good contract rates with insurance companies to enable us to scale further and wider, which further gives our team members more opportunity to buy in and create clinics of their own. So creating a leadership team that teaches culture, communication, how to run meetings, which KPIs to look for when you're growing a team, marketing. So creating succession plan is a little different than developing, but to scale, we're trying to create leaders that will fit into our model.
Yeah. And when you say model, how does culture come into that, fit into that?
So Synergy Physical Therapy at the moment, and has been for the past 25 years, a one-on-one clinic providing high quality care. So we're really about connecting with patients, creating an energy where they feel safe at home and the ability to really meet their goals and their needs. So I think it's a unique setting, and we're there for the patient. So it adapts as we go. The same therapist treats the same patient for the 6 or 8 weeks of their treatment. And I think affording them the opportunity is how we build development and growth.
Mhm. Right.
It's fun. I want them to have fun too.
Oh, what a great place to take a break. This is your host, Yvette Bethel. And when we come back, we will explore a little bit more about Cynthia and her strategies for making things work and balancing all of the tensions that she has in her business and in her life. And those tensions, as she says, bring joy. They don't bring struggle. We'll be right back.
Organizational Soul is a mission-driven organization and network where we specialize in trust in academia, families, and organizations. We are building a community of leaders who are interested in trust and culture. If you are interested in our updates, you can sign up for our newsletter at orgsoul.com. As a thank you for joining our community, you can access our free resources that are designed to help you build your brand as a trusted leader as you contribute to safe space. Sign up now at orgsoul.com.
Okay, welcome back to Evolve. Our guest is the founder of Synergy PT, a leading orthopedic practice in New York City. Welcome back, Cynthia.
Hi, Yvette.
All right, so let's start with a new question. What habits have you developed that helped you to stay balanced and anchored through everything that you were going through?
Exercise, meditation, and community.
Mm.
You know, I surround myself with people that are all positive, and I don't have any toxic relationships in my life. I take care of my soul. Exercise is one of the really good ways of releasing endorphins and staying mindful. I tend to cook. I tend to wake up every morning and make my bed, exercise, go to work, communicate. And my closest friends are still my friends from high school. So maintaining deep relationships is a definite part of who I am and what makes me tick.
What do you say to people? There's some people that have toxic relationships. It may be a child or someone that's, not easy to kind of distance yourself from. What do you say to them as they navigate that and attempt to build their business?
So that's many different levels.
Yeah.
Is that family that's toxic?
It could be
Is it a friend?
family, it could be a friend, could be someone
I
you
think
work with.
recognizing what sets you off and building boundaries. There's no need to be mean. There's no need to like let negativity affect you. You have to, again, not be mean, but have a boundary. You know, I love you and I'm going to come here. This works for me. This doesn't work for me.
Mm.
You have to stay focused. It's staying focused on what derails you. If someone's derailing your goals, you have to reevaluate your relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
I am very goal oriented. Really, I am. So if I'm not getting things done, I need to reevaluate why didn't I get things done?
Mm-hmm.
And there are periods of time when I don't feel well, I'm not getting a lot done. And I give myself grace in those moments. But when I do feel good, look out. I don't waste the days.
What role does collaboration play in your business model?
I couldn't do anything I'm doing without collaboration. I am I am not a know-it-all by any way, shape, or form. I learn by listening, by watching, by interacting, by reading. Collaboration, we have different weekly meetings. We have a marketing meeting, we have a leadership meeting, we have a director meeting, we have staff meetings. You have to hear feedback from people that work in your team to address things before they fester and grow.
Hmm.
You need to fix things before they explode. And creating a culture that responds to people's needs, being transparent, following through with your word. When you say something, do it, follow through. And also quelling any sort of drama in the office culture. You know,
Yeah, that's good.
you have to quell the drama because let me tell you, when there's one bad apple, that saying is true. It ruins the bunch.
Yeah, it does. I think what you just said is an excellent segue into my next question, which is, a lot of organizations as they expand and scale their businesses, the culture starts to shift into something different. How do you expand and maintain the integrity of your culture?
It's certainly a challenge. I think building in those levels. So for us, it's like a director of every clinic, and then the director communicates with me, creating opportunity for people to express themselves, creating opportunity for them to grow, and making expectations crystal clear. I think all of that is important. So I think I mentor my directors until they feel confident that they can handle it. And then they in turn mentor their teams,
So
building the
when
structure.
when you look at yourself now, where you're sitting now with everything that's going on, what's next for you? And how do you define success today?
Okay, so there's many different levels of success. I think having two remarkable children and a very loyal, kind, empathetic, loving husband is success in itself. I think I've succeeded in overcoming a lot of challenges. That's success. And I've built something, but I don't think what I have built as it is right now is very scalable. But success now would be if I can sort of scale my model now together over the next 5 years and find a real succession plan, like an exit strategy, that would be success. You
Mm,
know, the needle moves. Whenever you finish a 5K, you want to do a 10K. When you finish a 10K, you want to do a half
15K.
marathon.
Yeah,
So the needle moves. So
yeah.
now that I built what I built, the needle moved to how am I going to exit? I mean, against all odds, I did have two kids. My oldest is looking at colleges now. My younger one is a ninth grader. So that in itself is like a whole separate definition of success for me.
Mhm.
And I actually, that's like the ultimate, honestly. They're my true legacy. But I do believe we've built something that is valuable for our community. People really love coming to our office. And I think my new challenge is scaling it and finding a sustainable exit strategy.
So we've come to the final question. Time flew. So if you could go back to your pre-diagnosis self and give one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
Stay true to yourself, stay focused, and stay positive. Just
Yeah.
keep on keeping on. It's the same mantra that's gotten me through everything.
Yeah.
You know, keep pedaling up that hill, keep fighting this day that you feel crappy. Tomorrow will be better. I don't know if I would do anything differently. I think I did it okay. You
Yeah.
know, I got through each and I did manage to get everything. I mean, to get everything I wanted. The first time I was diagnosed, I was a single woman in New York City. I was 27 and I wanted a family. That seemed far away. I managed to achieve that. And that was a very big part of what I wanted to do in my life. And I didn't know I wanted to build a business, but now that I did, I want to scale it and I want to be able to create something of value and
Mhm.
and you know, yeah, create a lasting legacy there.
Wow. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you, Cynthia, for joining us. It took phenomenal talent and drive to get where you are, both from a health perspective as well as a business one. And
You are too kind.
we really appreciate this conversation as it's a powerful inspiration for those of us who are also facing daunting challenges in multiple aspects of our lives. So before we depart, I'd love for you to tell our listeners the best way to connect with you.
You can go to my website, Synergy, CYNERGYPT.com, and the contact us button will send me an email. My handle is at Cynthia Gormezano on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Either of those, you can contact me.
Oh, fabulous. So this has been Yvette Bethel with Cynthia Gormezano, and we would like to thank you for joining us at Evolve, Reinventing Leadership, Building Freedom Cultures.
Thank you for listening to Evolve, Reinventing Leadership, Building Freedom Cultures. Learn more about our proprietary trust, leadership, and culture courses and certifications at the IFB Academy. You can check them out at organizationalsoul.learnworlds.com.